Is your Christmas Eve ruined already? What happened? I woke up, went to buy bagels for the family, and found out my debit card info had been stolen. Between last night and this morning, they spent every dollar in my account on Uber, Uber Eats, and some jukebox somewhere. I had less than $300 and now I have less than $2, and I won't get the credit back in my account until Monday. My new card won't arrive for 10 business days. Good thing I already had my bus ticket. My girlfriend lent me $30 to cover the bagels, and then another $6 charge went through while I was on the phone with my bank. Frigging scumbags. I know this kind of thing happens all the time, but today? Really? Edit. I appreciate the offers to Venmo and whatnot, but I'm good. My family is very supportive, and I've already gotten most of my money back. I just need to wait for the new card. I have a couple of dollars in my pocket. I don't want to be cliche, but your money would be better spent on something like the Homeless Veterans Fund. Story 2. I spent the last few days baking holiday cookies, not just any cookies, but special sculpted buttercream on sugar cookies, made from scratch with love. Intricate designs. We just left to catch the ferry to visit our family. I had left the tray on top of the car while we wrangled other items and our dog. As we turned down the driveway and drove onto the main road, we heard a smash. The sheet flew off into the street. Luckily, no one was behind us, and all the cookies, including the sheet, were completely smashed. I am still crying as we sit on this ferry. Story 3. My boyfriend specifically asked for a beard kit for Christmas because he wanted to grow out his beard and mustache. I couldn't afford a $150 full kit, so I compromised and bought him beard oil, meant to promote hair growth, prevent acne, and moisturize. We're going to my parents today and didn't want to lug our own presents all the way there, so we opened them this morning. As soon as he saw the beard oil, he got pissed and asked why I bought it. I explained that 1, he asked for it, and 2, it isn't just for hair, it's for a number of things, and since the skin under his beard gets very dry, it would be useful for that as well. He went on a rant about how he's never going to use it, it's useless, and that he can barely grow a beard anyway, so why would I even get it for him? I was hurt and told him he was being kind of ungrateful, and if he didn't want it, he could have just said so and I could try to return it. He started lashing out, calling me a petty bitch and ranting about unrelated things like how we're going to my parents for Christmas and his for New Year's, and how I asked him for a second small gift, a candle, to unwrap in front of my parents because the gift he got me is inappropriate to unwrap there. Now, we're expected to show up at my parents in a few hours, and he's still super pissed at me, even though I found out I can return the oil and I'm pretty much over the conversation. Still excited for the food tonight though. Story 4. There was power outage at 1:45 a.m. The baby monitor alarm went off. The apartment was warm enough, so it wasn't a big deal, but I had to wake up to make sure the baby was okay. Then, 3 hours later, the apartment building fire alarms went off. The fire department came and shut it off 30 minutes later. Of course, by now, the baby was awake and cranky. 20 minutes after the firefighters left, power was restored, but the fire alarm went off again. This lasted another 20 minutes. It's been a rough morning, and I've had a cranky baby all day. It's not even dark yet, and I'm already ready to pass out. Story 5. My wife already yelled at me for no apparent reason, so we're getting there. Story 6. My mother-in-law appears to be on a rampage. My MIL and SIL planned Christmas events for that side of the family over New Year's Eve weekend without telling us, and we had already made plans to visit my family. We asked if they would be available to spend Christmas Eve and day together instead, and they all said no, so we changed our trip to today and tomorrow. 2 days ago, we got a text asking if we wanted to spend Christmas Eve and day with them on top of New Year's Eve weekend. We said we couldn't because we had already changed our trip to accommodate the New Year's plans, and they had previously told us they were unavailable. Since then, my MIL has been calling repeatedly. I'm not picking up, but apparently she's sobbing and telling my husband that we are ruining Christmas. I will never understand why grown adults act this way. Story 7. My mom and stepdad got into a screaming fight. I started crying because I wish I were normal and didn't have to go through this. When my mom saw me crying, she got angry and accused me of being overly sensitive, then threw all of my presents around the house and tore down the Christmas tree. I'm sleeping at my real dad's house tonight and tomorrow for Christmas, and we'll be going Christmas shopping together. I'm grateful that I can at least have a normal Christmas, even though today's emotions will probably still spill over into tomorrow. Story 8. Well, long story short, I regrettably decided to live with my parents for a bit before moving abroad again, since it's rare for me to be home for the holidays. Unfortunately, my father is an abusive alcoholic who, in a drunken rage at 10 in the morning, decided he'd had enough of me and kicked me out. Long story short, he's been in an alcoholic depression for nearly a decade, alienating everyone in our family and many friends, so they've completely abandoned him and my mother. This wouldn't have been much of an issue if I'd been given some notice. Sadly, by choosing to stay home for the holidays rather than leaving abroad sooner, I've spent my birthday, am now spending Christmas, and will spend New Year's alone in an Airbnb, along with an additional $2,000 down the drain, knowing that my parents will be opening the gifts I bought. They usually don't give gifts, so I tried to make Christmas special. And enjoying a feast I also purchased. Living in a small city in Canada so close to Christmas, I now get to enjoy a tiny apartment with minimal cooking supplies. I love cooking, but had to leave most of my tools abroad, and whatever scraps I can scrounge at stores that are mostly sold out. Tomorrow, I get to wake up, do nothing, and essentially wait 2 weeks until my flight abroad again. On the bright side, I can promise this will be my final time returning home, which should make next Christmas much better. Regardless, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday however you can, and I wish you nothing but the best for the season. Story 9. My mom fussed at me for being in the kitchen while I was cooking someone's Christmas gift. My pregnant sister-in-law specifically asked me to make some of my special lasagna to freeze for her. I was making it along with 3 breakfast casseroles for tomorrow when my mom came in and said I should have made the lasagna after Christmas. I explained that I already had 2 of the sauces done and could finish after Christmas if she needed the kitchen. She said she didn't need to use the kitchen, but still insisted I shouldn't be making them now. Honestly, if she doesn't need the kitchen, why is me cooking one extra thing along with everything else such a big deal? No matter what I do, I can't win. Story 10. Some drunk driver reversed into my downstairs living room at 10 a.m. He then drove into the kitchen of the guy who lives opposite. He got arrested, and the fire brigade came to inspect the house for structural damage, so we had to evacuate. They just finished putting in wooden boards to cover the hole he left at the front of the house. Now we'll have to involve insurance and find builders, but everything is closed for now, so it's a big headache. Story 11. My kids told me my presents were lame, that they were embarrassed by me, and that they couldn't wait to go to their dad's house. I'm having surgery on Tuesday and won't see them for 3 weeks. I know they're just kids, but it broke my heart. ETA. I got them everything on their carefully curated Amazon wish lists. Their dad tipped them off ahead of time that their paternal grandmother had gotten them an Oculus Rift and AirPods. They're usually really good kids, and my ex and I co-parent wonderfully along with my husband, so I don't think it was malicious on his part, but it really kicked me in the gut. Story 12. Yeah, my dad kicked me out of the apartment a few days ago, screaming and yelling at me, claiming I don't care about him, calling me a bitch, etc. because his apartment wasn't cleaned fast enough. I paid $800 in rent for December, and he paid $450. I'm not getting my money back or anything because it doesn't work that way, even though I was kicked out almost a week ago. He said I need to get all my stuff out by Sunday, or he'll get rid of it himself. I don't have a place to put anything. I'm hopping between friends' houses, and it's the middle of winter. I also recently quit or lost my job. It's complicated and has to do with being a SAID, and I literally have 71 cents to my name. One of my friend's moms bought me a winter coat at least. I'm 21, for reference. So yeah, I don't get to celebrate with any family or anything. I just get to chill in my friend's basement, applying for jobs and housing resources all day today and tomorrow. Story 13. I've been with my girlfriend for 6 years, going on 7 in a long-distance relationship. Every time Christmas comes around, she ghosts me. By ghosting, I mean she never gives me a heads up about what she's doing and just leaves me in the dark for the whole day. I understand she has to cook, clean, and help her family out, but she wouldn't even say something like, "Hey, I'm busy, can't talk to you for the rest of the day." It's nothing like that. She just pops up at the end of the night saying, "I love you," hoping that will fix my annoyance. I always stick by the saying that if someone wanted to talk to you, they would make time, and it's never that way with her. I officially broke up with her 10 minutes ago. Merry Christmas. Story 14. Mine was almost ruined. I enjoyed a beautiful dinner made by my sister, but halfway through the meal, I started feeling off. A couple of minutes later, my head was burning. I was unbearably itchy. My throat was swollen, and I was wheezing. I was having some kind of allergic reaction I'd never experienced before. I was this close to calling 911. Thankfully, the Benadryl worked. I could not imagine having to go to the hospital tonight. Story 15. I decided to spend Christmas with my boyfriend's family because I don't see them often, and they've been asking for me, even though they don't really like me. My mom completely lost it when I told her. It wasn't last minute either. I just said, "Hey, I'm going to spend a few hours with my boyfriend's family on Christmas Day." I got called every name in the book. She hit me, and for the first time ever, I hit her back. Then, to top it all off, this morning, she threw the tree out the front door and told everyone I ruined Christmas. Like, what the hell? I didn't ruin Christmas. She ruined our relationship. Also, it's 80 degrees outside. Story 16. A man knocked on my door, yelling and shouting. Last week, I left a note on his car saying his car alarm goes off all night. Apparently, that's worth trying to threaten me over. Merry Christmas. Update. I saw him outside on Christmas afternoon. I approached him and apologized for my note. I do regret opening this can of worms. He told me his 80-year-old mom lives nearby. She's getting older and sicker, so he tries to visit often, but his car keeps getting broken into if he parks near her house, and my street is safer. We ended up having a nice conversation. 2 takeaways. First, most people in this world are hurt or unwell. I often fail, but I try to stop the cycle of inflicting anger, harm, or even just a bad day on others. Hurt people hurt people. Second, you can be right or you can be happy. I'm absolutely right that his car alarm is annoying as hell. But what's more important is that I'm happy living in my house, not afraid or stressed out by life. Story 17. I just got a text from a girl saying my husband tried to hire her to spend the night with him last night. I'm absolutely crushed. She sent screenshots. Update. She outed him because he declined after finding out she was too far away. So he didn't cheat, just intended to. Obviously, I don't know if this has happened before. I also have no idea how she got my number, which is creepy as hell. I agree, she doesn't seem like a professional. Gross, nonetheless. Reddit is saving me right now. Story 18. I'm a cop, and I have to work the grave shift for the next 3 days. Every holiday season, we see a significant increase in alcohol and drug-fueled family violence. I will most likely spend my holidays dragging drunk or high wife beaters to jail. On one hand, I won't be spending the holidays with my wife and kids. On the other, at least witnessing the dysfunctional, violent mess some people live with will make me appreciate my healthy, happy family even more. Story 19. As of 5 minutes ago, my brother, who, well, let's just call him an interesting character, stole my niece's phone. This is the niece who is the daughter of my sister, who literally paid for the groceries for our Christmas dinner, or what was going to be our Christmas dinner. My parents are struggling financially because my father is in bankruptcy after constantly bailing this same brother out of jail and having to buy multiple new vehicles after he wrecks them. Needless to say, my sister just got off the phone with me to say that she, the one who paid for everything, will not be joining the family at my parents' house tomorrow and likely won't ever again. She's encouraging my other sister to do the same, and there's a real chance she will, out of concern for her baby's safety. And now, as I sit here, tearing up while typing this, I'm seriously considering not going either. I saved up $3,000 to buy my dad his dream truck, and that piece of crap took it, because you can't tell him no. And if you do, he either threatens you or cries self-harm, and wrapped it around a tree during one of his usual bouts of stupidity. I'm done, bro. I've cried wishing he'd change. I've cried wishing for the old days, back when he wasn't this. And I undoubtedly blame myself for part of it. But screw him. You've stolen from your siblings, bankrupted your parents, threatened family members, and you're nothing but a spoiled jerk who doesn't take no for an answer. Please, someone, something, lock his ass up. Take him away. Just get him away from my family at this point. And let me say this, as someone who has struggled with depressive thoughts, an especially big F you to him for casually using it as a cop-out whenever the world tries to hold him accountable for his actions. Screw you, bro. Way to take something people genuinely suffer with and turn it into your own sick mind game. Story 20. I decided to try and spend Christmas alone this year. I'm a recovering alcoholic, 2.5 years sober. In the last year, I've started the process of grieving the loss of my childhood. My family, who abused me as a child and allowed me to be abused by others, didn't like this idea at all. They came to my house yesterday. I didn't open the door, so they broke into my kitchen, smashing my window. I told them to leave, and they decided to attack me in my own house. I had to fight my way out and called the police. 3 hours later, I've spent all my food money on a window replacement, and I'm completely broke until next week. No turkey for me today. I'm so angry and sad at the same time, and I think I'm still in shock. Yep, Christmas is ruined. Story 21. My dad slapped me because I wouldn't let him get more alcohol, even though he was already extremely drunk. I'm seriously considering cutting him out of my life entirely unless he gets help. Story 22. My dad is a right-wing conservative racist. I'm married to a Central American immigrant, and we have a newborn. Last month, he called and asked, "How's the little beaner?" He said he didn't mean it. When I brought up a week later that it hurt me, he got angry, accused me of making everything about race, and said I reminded him of his ex-wife, my mother. He sent me a 9-paragraph email claiming that I'm racist against white people. I'm half white, LOL. When I told him that he had hurt my husband's feelings several times over the last year, telling him to speak English because he's in America, poking fun at his English mistakes, asking if he'd be a good dad in front of a table full of people at a dinner party. He first demanded we return all the gifts he's ever given us, then changed his mind because he didn't want to be petty. He put me back in therapy after 4 years without it, and then had the audacity to deliver Christmas gifts to the house so I could deal with the guilt of either keeping them or sending them back. I only reconnected with my dad 4 years ago, and this reminds me of all the years my mother coerced us into throwing his gifts in the trash when I didn't want to, which makes my guilt even heavier. I've honestly tried so hard to make excuses for him because I just wanted to have one parent who understands me. But it's clear, after so many years of him refusing to listen to my experiences and perspective as a WOC, and refusing to examine his biases and harmful beliefs, that I just can't. I draw the line at hurting my husband and baby boy, but it's really shitty that this is happening at Christmas. Story 23. My husband yelled at me about a stupid accident that we both caused. I cried on the way to his family's Christmas because I do not deserve to be yelled at. Always a great start to a party. He tried to talk to me during the festivities, and I really did not want to deal with it because he is terrible at communication. When we got home, he went to our room to pout while I did all the Santa stuff with the kids. Oh, and he forgot to order me anything until it was too late for it to be delivered in time. Luckily, I bought myself 3 gifts for him to give me because I somehow saw this coming. So yeah, I bought my own Christmas gifts, as well as gifts for him and the kids, and I still got yelled at. I am at the end of my rope. Who am I kidding? I have been at the end of my rope for months. Thanks for listening. I just needed to get this off my chest. Story 24. I don't want to go anywhere. We can't figure out a good solution for how to spend time at each side's festivities. My usual existential dread, the uptick around this time seemed like it wasn't coming, but it hit sometime last night or today. My birthday is in a few days and it's all just too much at once. A last-minute job interview yesterday set me off. They offered me $12 an hour, $5 less than what I'm making now. I'm not sure if it's anxiety or if I'm picking up on legitimate red flags about some things that were said. I applied that day at the bakery and heard back only a few hours later. I'm burnt out from substitute teaching and anxious about the new job. Plus, it would have mandatory weekends. I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. Our foster child, who is also my youngest sibling, is acting up too much, and I think he might need to go elsewhere after the holidays. He won't let us help him at all and desperately needs help that we can't provide because the system sucks. The stress of this situation makes me want to go no contact with my immediate family. I'm already at low contact because of their recent actions. I don't feel like seeing them, though at least there will be other extended family around. Granted, they give me anxiety too. My significant other's grandparents both died this year, with the grandfather just passing this month. I might just stay home. I'm not feeling it. There are too many things for me in a regular year. Christmas Eve, Christmas, my birthday, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day, and not enough time to recover between all those events. Story 25. Spent the last 3 days with my future in-laws at our home. I got invited to go to my family's Christmas Eve service at their church. My girlfriend accepted, but the rest of her family didn't say one way or the other. Naturally, it became a screaming match between my girlfriend and her mom about how we were ditching her family for mine and how we don't want to spend time with them. All of this could have been avoided if any of them had simply said, "Hey, can we just stay home to do our celebration tonight?" Now, it's just me, my girlfriend, her sister, and her grandma in the living room watching Christmas movies in front of the fireplace, while her mom and dad are locked in their room pouting. Story 26. My brother-in-law's father fell 2 nights ago because his blood sugar got too low. When his psycho-religious wife found him, she did not call 911 and thought she could fix him by pouring sugar in milk down his throat. He drowned on the bathroom floor, and then she made her own daughter pray over him because she literally thought she could bring him back to life. Hours later, when they finally did call, the cops were questioning her, and her pastor showed up. She kept hanging all over him, chanting, we win," over and over. We got the message about all of this the second our plane landed. Crap. Story 27. I'm 37 weeks pregnant and working 12-plus hour shifts as an RN. I worked Wednesday and Thursday and was absolutely depleted. I'm worried because I can't tell if I feel like crap from exhaustion or from Omicron. I live in a big city, and Omicron is definitely taking over. I see the numbers going up, even in my unit. I basically spent all day in bed today. My husband and I decided to use Instacart to get groceries since we're running low, and I wanted a few special items for Christmas Day. Only after placing the order did I realize it won't be delivered until December 26, 2 days from now. All the grocery stores within walking distance are closed until then. It's not devastating, but it sucks. I basically have eggs, toast, and frozen fried rice. We're ordering Chinese food to split for dinner today and tomorrow. I just feel lame and frustrated. Honestly, I'd rather have worked on Christmas and been able to get groceries during the week. We don't live near family, so it's not an emergency, but it's still frigging annoying. Story 28. My narcissistic parents tried telling me I need to give my mother a second chance at building a relationship with my boyfriend they've hated for 10 years. They then admitted they never thought he would graduate. God forbid he had to work his way through school. Now that he has his shit together, they suddenly like him. They also twisted an argument I had with her in 2018, claiming she came to my apartment to save me after a big fight with my boyfriend, which never happened. What actually happened was that she showed up uninvited with a box so I could throw my boyfriend's things into it because she had a dream that I needed to break up with him or I would die. She believes she has a premonition gift from God and has been telling me I'm going to die early since I was 11. Then my mom told me I need to see family more, which would require me to travel out of state, and she only wants me to do it with them in their car. I'm 30, by the way. And on top of that, she claims a vacuum cleaner fell on her foot and broke it, but says she's too poor to see a doctor and was trying to get me to give her money. Story 29. I'm not sure ruined is the right word, but my sister-in-law and I got into a quasi-argument after she responded with, well, yeah, but what color was he, when I brought up something I had heard from a YouTube video. I told her I wasn't sure that was something she should base judgments on, but she insisted certain colors, especially from certain regions, are unreliable sources of information. My girlfriend swooped in and changed the subject, and then we opened presents, which was bomb. She seemed more thrown than I did. I thought it was hilarious, especially since my sister-in-law hates her father, who is horribly racist. P.S. Just remembered, tonight, my girlfriend also had to quickly break up a marriage is slavery, wives are house slaves debate, way oversimplified. She was referring to certain fictional and historical contexts. My girlfriend was right to stop it. I try to keep things polite, but perhaps we should focus on more activities and less conversation. Story 30. My aunt brought her badly behaved dog. He always jumps on all kinds of furniture. We told her we don't like it, and she just says, but he isn't doing anything bad and he's so cute. Blah, blah. While my mother and I did the dishes, she and her family, plus the dog, went to the living room and spread out all across the couch. The dog is lying there too. They didn't even think about making space for us, and I'm pissed. I will not sit on the floor so that the dog can ruin some pillows on the couch. Long story short, they're still occupying the couch. My mother is sitting on the floor, and I'm in the kitchen accompanied by Reddit and a bottle of wine. Story 31. My depression kept me from getting Christmas presents for my family this year. I had ideas, but I just could not bring myself to go out and get them. The only thing I managed was a gift for my mother, which she got 1 week early because she already needed it. After everyone exchanged presents and I received some too, I felt overwhelmingly sad and angry at myself. I felt like I did not belong. I gave nothing and still received something. I left the presents in the living room and said I had a stomach ache and would rather rest for a few minutes and eat later. 3 hours later, everyone had left. I was still in my room, sitting in silence, just relieved that I did not have to look anyone in the eye anymore that night. Tomorrow, still have to give my girlfriend a very spontaneous gift because the idea I had for her did not work out. Maybe I could have made it happen in the past 2 weeks. Maybe I could have, because the thing is broken anyway. It does not matter now. I just hope the half-baked idea works. I just want to sleep. Story 32, I'm doing my best to keep the spirit up, but we recently got our application to build a home of our own denied by the Sustainable Community Association. They chose 2 other groups over us. We run the town general store and have a boy who will be 2 in February. It's hard. My partner was so excited for this opportunity. She'd been drawing up housing designs all year, trying to plan our dream home. But now we're back to square one, moving roughly 4 times a year, as the apartment we stay in during the winter gets rented out for weekly vacations in the summer, which we can't afford. Last summer, we stayed in a house without electricity, and by the end of our stay, our son's lead levels were very high. We were really hoping we wouldn't have to stay there again. To make things even harder, it feels like my partner has just given up. This was so important to her, and now she's defeated. She's not being a good parent, neglecting our son while she zones out on her phone, trying to distract herself from this rejection. She refuses to put any effort into our business anymore, saying things like, "What's the point?" and "We should just leave." I don't want to leave. I like our business. I don't know what's going to happen. I hate that she's refusing to put any effort into being the good parent I know she is or into our business, but I don't know how to talk some sense into her without making her feel like I'm turning against her. I need to give her time to recover, but carrying the lion's share of responsibility for both our 1-year-old son and our 1-year-old business is burning me out fast. I haven't even wrapped any presents yet. What really destroys me is that she keeps telling me she gets annoyed when I'm being happy. She feels like me not being at the same level as her means that I don't care. But one of us has to have a smile on our face for our kid. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't deserve to have bad days just because we're struggling. I'm trying to be a good dad and a good partner by giving her space while I play with our son, but to have her say she feels like I don't care, it brings me to tears. I know this is very rambly, but I just needed to vent. Story 33. I have severe gastritis and get set off by pretty much anything that's not bland carbs with no salt or butter. I can't eat beef, dairy, or butter, period. Nothing spicy, no onions or garlic. Nothing sour, no cauliflower or asparagus, no fatty bacon, no coffee. I simply can't digest any of it. It goes through me like a normal person eating White Castle. Dairy brings pain. Butter brings more. I have diet-friendly options now, so it's easier, but an Impossible Burger will never taste one-to-one like a hamburger, even though they're really decent. This is my second Christmas like this, and I still have emotional issues seeing the holiday spread and being unable to eat half of it. I at least have family who are slowly coming around to accommodate me, but it sucks when my options are roasted potatoes with salt and chicken, while all the other entrees are slathered in butter or served creamed. Tomorrow, I get cereal with almond milk instead of French toast, eggs, or bacon. The cereal I can deal with, but no bacon feels cruel. Everyone says this is probably temporary, but they're not my doctor, who said it's probably lifelong. No one wants to admit how much it sucks, and there's not going to be any benefit to lying about it to me. It is what it is. Story 34. My fiance got a few edibles from his coworker. THC, so legal. He took one around 1 p.m. and it's now 6:30. Talking to him right now is like talking to a child or someone with Alzheimer's. He has no working memory and can't do anything except watch TV. We're alone because his family is 12 hours away and I'm not speaking to my parents. They were partially responsible for my little brother's passing this past summer. I've been cooking homemade tomato sauce since 2:30 and all I wanted was for him to make some Yorkshire pudding. Takes about 30 minutes, so we could have a nice meal together. Instead, he just took another edible. He hasn't wrapped any of my presents. I wrapped all of his yesterday, and he can't even handle boiling water for pasta. I might as well be alone with a microwave dinner. It's not as bad as some of the stories I see out there, but I'm lonely, bitter, and I miss my brother. Story 35. I'm spending 3 days with my boyfriend's narcissistic father. I didn't get a hello when I arrived. Instead, I was berated for being 10 minutes late. Even though my boyfriend drove straight from work to pick up the Christmas meal I spent the whole day preparing and pre-cooking. I didn't get a thank you for the food. Instead, I was asked when I was leaving my family's gathering so I could be back in time to cook the dinner, which is exactly why I pre-cooked it. So anyone could just put it in the oven. This resulted in an awkward argument within 15 minutes of arriving. I've spent the evening on my phone, about to go to bed crying, wishing I were anywhere but in this toxic man's company. My boyfriend then said, "Oh, Dad gets the feeling you don't want to be here," and he's sat there thinking it's his last Christmas, one of his classic guilt trips. I just want to be elsewhere, but if I leave, it'll just be used as fuel for the fire. Story 36. A solar panel flew off the roof of my van on the way to my only family, my grandparents. I get here, and my grandpa is having his last words. While on hospice, which they never told me he was in this state, he probably won't make it through the night and I'm freezing cold, crying myself to sleep, trying to figure out what to do. Thanksgiving, I spent in the emergency room while they joked I might have cancer. Just a horrible stomach, yay? To be honest, it sucks that the one time I'm trying to do something for myself, building out an RV conversion in my van, life throws this at me. My childhood was traumatic, to say the least. My heart is bad. My stomach is paralyzed. I lost my best friend, my mother, and after helping my sister and paying most of her bills since she was 18 until now, here I am, probably having to move in with my grandma to take care of her. I am only 23 and feel 60 years old. I just want to feel some sort of freedom and happiness for myself for once. I'm so tired of taking care of everyone else and getting dragged through the mud. Merry Christmas. Story 37. Christmas got ruined for me 10 years ago. My mother decided to move Christmas to my sister's house after she had kids because she resented having to go to a relative's house after opening presents as a kid. This really only exposed the fact that my sisters are self-centered. I have nothing in common with them, and I would spend all day on my phone trying to get away from two overstimulated toddlers. Well, my niece was 5 by this point. 10 years ago, I had been sick and put on Cipro, which led to food intolerances. No one in my family believed me. I could eat a slice of bread or a few cookies, but anything more would give me horrible gas. They were making cinnamon rolls for breakfast and pasta for dinner. Fine, I thought. I'll eat breakfast, open presents, and go home. Key part, I didn't eat breakfast at home. My niece decided she wanted to open presents before breakfast, so I was hangry. Meanwhile, my presents were literal garbage. Stuff from last year's clearance sales and school fundraisers. Nothing that implied any thought whatsoever. I ended up in a screaming match with my sister and stormed off. We kind of reconnected when our mother was dying, but now they are pretty much out of my life again. Story 38. My daughter told me she grew up poor. We gave her a car for her 16th birthday, paid for countless summer sports, covered at least half of her college, and even contributed to her wedding. Honestly, it really bums me out. Story 39. Woke up at 2 a.m. to my mom falling and having a seizure. She fractured her back in the fall. We've been at the ER since 3 a.m. and it's currently afternoon. Edit. It's now after 9 p.m. and we've been back home since 4 p.m. My mom can shuffle around the house but needs help getting into bed. I got her settled about half an hour ago and can hear her snoring now. I'm finally lying down for the first time since this started and hope to fall asleep. I'm staying close by on the sofa in the living room so I can hear her in case anything happens. My mom lives with my husband and me, but I asked him to go see his family tonight and tomorrow while I stay here. I'll miss seeing them, but I'm glad my mom is here and feeling better. Edit 2. It's now just after 2:30 a.m. Full circle. 24 hours since EMTs first came to the house. I woke up to help her to the bathroom. Thank you all for the comments and support. You're all amazing. Merry Christmas, and to those also having a rough holiday, I hope things get better. Story 40. I shattered my ankle last week. The next day, my husband broke his knee. Neither of us can walk or drive right now. My husband is bedbound until his surgery. Our child will be living with my brother and his family for the next several weeks since we literally can't take care of them. I miss my baby so much. I've already had my surgery, so I'm hoping to have my child back in about 6 weeks. It's a hard holiday. I just want to be with my child. Thankfully, both sides of the family, his and mine, are stepping up to help us, but it doesn't make it any easier. Story 41. Not ruined, but not what I had hoped for. My husband just got home from the hospital 2 days ago, cancer, and he's already showing symptoms that indicate he needs more treatment. Yeah, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Sunday. If it gets too bad before Monday, the only option is the COVID-filled ER. Not my idea of comfort and joy. He had volunteered to help with the neighborhood's annual luminarias, so I went along to keep an eye on him. The organizers were basically the Keystone Cops. Plus, it was windy, and the bags kept falling over, spilling sand and candles into the street, which added to the fun. I'm annoyed, sweaty, and just want to stay home and relax, but we have to go back out in a few hours to help light the things. To make matters worse, the people who filled the bags used clumpy sand, so most of the candles aren't sitting flush, and we'll be lucky if we don't end up with a street full of burning paper bags tonight. With any luck though, they'll kill off the remaining mosquitoes. Merry Christmas. Story 42. Yesterday, my mom's cat somehow turned on our bathroom sink while we were all asleep. It overflowed for who knows how long, causing the dining room ceiling below to collapse and leaking into the basement onto the furnace, which caused it to shut down and malfunction. We had no heat yesterday and part of today. I'm just thankful there was no fire. Story 43. My long-term partner dumped me out of the blue 2 weeks ago, right when we were about to buy a Christmas tree. I'm really close with his family and spend every Christmas with them since mine isn't great. We nearly lost both of his siblings this year and I can't stop crying because I miss them all so much, especially today and tomorrow. I still don't really understand what happened. Story 44. Forces are really working against me. Yesterday, I got a letter from my provincial health insurance saying they never received my income verification for last year. I checked with the CRA and sure enough, they never got my 2020 tax return, despite me definitely sending it. They didn't even bother to notify me. Took care of it this morning though. I had to get up at 6 a.m. to go to work today. It's dead at the office with just me here, but I've already gotten a few calls from customers trying to make sure I can't leave early. Who the hell is still doing residential contracted construction on Christmas Eve with snow coming down? Frigging amateurs. Getting up that early is already going to make sure I'm nice and tired by this evening. I'm too old for this shit. Story 45. I just had a 2-hour argument with my parents about how they won't welcome my perfectly normal boyfriend into our home. Basically, until they're reasonably sure I want to marry him. It's really hard to talk to them about him because they make the conversations incredibly awkward. Even though they say they're open to talking about him, they barely respond when I say anything about him. And it's maddening because I can share literally everything else about my life with them just fine. I get that I'm an only daughter and they're protective, but my mood is completely ruined. Conversations with him are almost always tense and negative because of this. And you know what makes it worse? I only brought him up today because he messaged asking if it would be okay for him to bring some fruit over for the family. He even said he'd stay in the car in the driveway and asked if I could just come out and grab it because he knows how my dad feels about meeting him too early. I just wanted to make it okay for him to come inside for a minute, have a cup of water or coffee before leaving. And that is what started the entire argument. Like, it's Christmas Eve and you can't even let the guy come in for a damn cup of water? He's a really normal, good dude. This isn't because he's doing anything wrong or is some kind of bad influence. He's not a drug dealer or anything like that. I'm so angry I want to punch a hole in the wall, but my wrists are too weak and I'd probably just break them trying. Edit to add. I've mentioned this in the replies below, but I want to include it in the main text. If someone just reads what I wrote above, it's easy to make negative assumptions about my parents. I wrote that while I was really mad, and it only represents a small sliver of my relationship with them. I love my parents very much, even if we disagree on some things here and there due to cultural and generational gaps. They raised me lovingly and respectfully, and I love them to bits. Edit 2.0. This one family spat is literally 0.01% of my interactions with them and cannot and should not be used to draw definitive negative conclusions about anyone in my family. I could bore you with the details of the argument or give a full description of my parents, but that's not really the point of this one-off rant vent. I was angry and looking for validation. LOL. I explained further in another comment, but in their culture and beliefs, parents don't meet their children's significant others until the child has gotten to know them well enough to see if they might want a lifelong relationship. They believe it's better for me to understand my partners thoroughly first, to learn for myself what I want in a partner before they ever meet them. In my dad's words, he doesn't want to color my perception of my SO with his own opinions before I have firmly decided I want them in my life for the long term. I grew up with more North American expectations about dating, so conflicts naturally arose. None of this means they treat me like property or anything else that might be inferred. In fact, it even came up during the argument that, regardless of anything, my relationship is my choice, and I have the final say, as I should. I appreciate everyone's concern over how my original comment may have made my relationship with my parents seem, but I'm happy to reassure you all that it is absolutely not the case. Story 46. In a way, my wife divorced me, and it was with her family that we spent Christmas Eve and Christmas. My family doesn't always get together, and when we do, it's after the new year. So today, I have nothing to do and nowhere to go. Story 47. I have to go to dinner with a lady who's a friend of my mom's. I really don't like her, and she's bringing her son along. Since he's moving to the same town I live in, they're trying to make us friends by association. It's the kind of thing you'd expect if we were 10, but we're all adults, and he can make his own friends. It hasn't completely ruined my day, but I'm definitely in a bad mood. Edit. They actually canceled, so my day has been saved. Story 48. I flew down to Florida from Maine to see a friend I haven't seen in years. She decided that I've gained too much weight. I'm a size 12 and 5'10" to be suitable to hang out with her friends. I'm crushed. She's a size 00 and anorexic. I wish I had known. I didn't realize she'd become this socially snobby. Story 49. Yes, but it goes back decades. Listen, for all you parents separated from the other parent of your children, please remember, your kids did not choose your partners. They did not choose your life. You chose theirs. Romantic relationships end. I get it, but do not use your children as pawns. Ever. Never ever. Especially during holidays. There was so rarely any love or excitement. You were 7 minutes late bringing them back last weekend, so I am just going to make them sit here 7 minutes past your pickup time to prove how smart I am. Just the dumbest, most pointless shit. Story 50. My boss gave me a raise a few days ago because he was scared I would go to another company, and basically gave me what is the starting salary in my field. Today, we had a company lunch where we were expecting our Christmas bonuses. After delivering 2 apps this year, much before the deadline, which were sold for a lot of money, they just said, "Congrats," even though many of us worked extra hours to make that happen. Every girl I've started talking to this past year either had a boyfriend or some scheme and just wanted to cheat on them with me, while I am looking for something long-term. So it seems like I just look like a F-boy. People in my house annoy me on a daily basis, and I am sick and tired of the comments like, "Why are you in a bad mood?" when they are the reason I am in a bad mood. I apologize to other Reddit users, I just needed to vent. Story 51. My brother didn't show up at all. He's in the house, just doesn't want to come upstairs, and then my father shouted at my sister because she didn't want to comply with one of his demands. I'm currently in my room, dreading going outside and facing the situation. I'm seriously thinking about not coming back for the holidays next year. I always leave my parents' home feeling depressed, and it takes me a couple of days to get over it. Story 52. My cat peed on all my clean laundry this morning, so I woke up to that lovely smell. I work as a bartender for an opening shift today, and so far, the only person who's come in is a homeless man to charge his phone. I don't mind him. I mind that I'm being paid under minimum wage and that so far I've had no customers for 4 hours. Looks like I'll make basically nothing for my time here today. Story 53. Christmas is usually at my parents' house. This year I was diagnosed with multiple forms of arthritis, which has put me out of work. I was a laborer, was illegally fired because of this, and lost my insurance that covered my necessary infusions. My mother only sees me as lazy and even described me as wallowing. When I asked her to respect the position I'm in, she called me a baby. I told her not to talk to me and have no plans to be the bigger person just because it's Christmas. Story 54. Somebody died on my flight home. Yup, 20 minutes from the destination. They were performing chest compressions while the plane was landing. Story 55. My wife's father fell and hit his head at about 3:30 a.m. He was airlifted to the hospital near us. Tubes and everything were removed around 1 p.m., and he passed at 3:30 p.m. Holy shit, things can turn on a dime. Last night, my wife and I were looking forward to the store-bought charcuterie platter, and tonight she's burying her dad. I'm upset because I saw her mom watch her husband die, and that's something my own mom went through twice. I've been talking to my mom all day, but she has dementia, so I have to keep telling her what happened. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my mom. Soon, either to death or completely to her memory first. Sorry, Reddit. I'm waiting for my wife to come home and I already stopped at the pub. He was an Irish priest for F's sake. Story 56. My husband screamed at me for some reason I'm not aware of. Now I'll have to pretend to like him for 2 days. Story 57. My boyfriend has been with me since last night, and the plan was for him to leave to see his family after our own personal Christmas tomorrow morning. His family decided to go axe throwing, and he said they would be mad if he didn't go. He told me this 25 minutes before the start time, and the place is over 45 minutes away from my house. I had no intention of going because I hadn't showered and it was sprung on him so suddenly. I wish he'd grow a frigging spine and tell them when we have plans together. I hadn't seen him in at least 2 weeks because I was sick and dealing with other stuff. Now it's nearly 5 p.m., and I'm wondering if I should start preparing our planned dinner together alone or wait for him, even though my stomach is growling a lot. Story 58. No, but someone really tried. My truck was broken into last night. They took a couple of Christmas gifts that were just sitting in the back seat because I've been traveling. Fortunately, the lion's share of gifts were locked safely in the covered bed. I was really down when I found it this morning, but after being bummed for a little while, I realized what it would take to drive a person to do something like that the night before Christmas Eve. Then I just felt kind of bad. I hope they have someone who needs those gifts, and I hope they make someone's Christmas a little better with them. It's the season of giving after all, right? Story 59. It's tough. I worked all day yesterday and didn't clean up after I got my kids to sleep, so I was shocked to wake up to a messy house. Every time I clean one thing, my kids mess up something else. I'm estranged from any family in the area, so it's just me and the kids tonight. My ex-husband is coming tomorrow to open gifts that I bought and eat breakfast that I bought and am preparing. I feel a little down, but it's Christmas. I'll make dinner, we'll eat it on the good plates, and then I'll tuck the kids into their car seats and we'll drive out to look at lights, listen to music, and come back to watch movies in bed until they fall asleep. Tomorrow morning, they'll wake up and Santa will have come. They'll get to see their dad, and maybe in a couple of weeks we can see my mom, dad, and siblings. Everything will be all right. Story 60. This Christmas Eve is the first in 2 decades where the whole family isn't together. It's just me, my mom, my stepdad, and my niece and nephew. It's also hot outside for this time of year, but it isn't a bad day by any means. My mom is in the kitchen cooking and baking desserts and a bunch of goodies, so the house smells amazing. All the windows and doors are open, letting in a nice breeze. The kids are laughing and cutting up, and I'm just sitting in the recliner, relaxing and shooting the breeze with my stepdad. In my own little corner of the world, I realize I have a lot to be happy about. It's a bummer that my grandparents, uncle, aunt, cousins, or my brother and sister and their significant others aren't here like they always have been. But the house is really pretty and decorated just like it always is this time of year, and the smell of sweets fills the air. It makes me feel like a little kid again. Story 61. Tonight I had dinner with one of my best friends and his wife. We have a tradition of meeting for Mexican food on Christmas Eve. No big deal, right? But it's probably our last dinner together. He has kidney and liver cancer, and it has spread to his bones. When I asked his wife if they still wanted to meet, my friend said, "I can't say no to my friend." Dinner was great. We insulted each other back and forth like we always do. After an hour or so, I saw him turn white from the pain. Hold the people you love close. You never know when it will be the last time. Sorry to be so glum. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Story 62. It's going to sound so stupid, but to my 9 months pregnant ass, it made me cry. I woke up craving donuts and went to my favorite local donut shop, only to find out there was some kind of mechanical or technical issue with their trucks, so none of their donuts were delivered that morning. Okay, bummer. But I was already there, and there was nothing anyone could do. I looked around at their other items and spotted a gorgeous peanut butter cream pie. It wasn't a donut, but it seemed like a solid second choice. I grabbed the pie, paid, and as soon as I got home, I cut myself a slice, even though it was 10:30 in the morning, because screw it. I was so excited that I had completely forgotten about the donut debacle. I took a forkful and tasted coconut. I looked closer and noticed coconut shavings on top of the pie and mixed into the cream filling. Last I checked, those are not normal ingredients in a peanut butter cream pie. That's when it hit me. It had to be mislabeled. It was actually a coconut cream pie. I immediately started crying right there at the kitchen table. Blame the hunger, the raging pregnancy hormones, or both. Either way, it was a total bummer and not how I wanted to start my morning. I did message the shop to let them know so they could check whether other pies were mislabeled. They offered to give me a replacement pie, but by then, I was too emotionally and physically exhausted to go back. I took the $10 hit in stride and made myself a bagel instead. That's what I get for not just eating breakfast at home. Story 63. I missed Christmas lunch with my mom and brother because my wife got sick. Food poisoning, coming out of both ends, and she is still sick. I didn't get to bed until 9 a.m. and didn't wake up until 1:45 in the afternoon, and the lunch was at 2. The kicker was that my mom got upset and said, I just seemed to not be a man of my word. I told her I disagreed, saying, I think it's more admirable that I stayed up all night taking care of my wife than going out to lunch. I offered to leave and be there a little late, but she responded negatively, saying it was supposed to be our Christmas get-together. So I said, okay, I see where your priorities are, I guess. Apparently, she didn't want me to show up at all if I wasn't going to be on time. I don't know what I did to her. She always has to have something to boo-hoo about every holiday or birthday. That's racked my brain all day. Merry Christmas, Mom. Story 64. My immediate family had plans for a bonfire this evening along with other Christmas activities. I just got home from work and everyone is gone. When I asked where they were, I found out they're 2 hours away visiting a family member who refuses to acknowledge my existence. I'm a stepchild. Now I'm alone, and they've already said they won't be back in time for the planned activities. This is also the first Christmas I'm spending away from my husband due to immigration struggles. Yeah, this really hurts. Story 65. Every Christmas feels cursed. Last year, my mom accidentally super glued her eye shut. The year before, my mom's dog, whom I've known for 10 years, was attacked by a chow and needed hospitalization. This year, I drove 2 hours to my mom's place for Christmas, bringing my 2-year-old pup, who means everything to me. I was told we'd be celebrating at my grandma's and that the dogs would stay at my mom's outside. No problem. He's never run away, and he's given me no reason not to trust him. We spend 3 hours at my grandma's. It's great. But when we go back to feed the dogs, my puppy is nowhere to be found. He'd escaped an hour and a half before we arrived. He's been missing for 5 hours. I've searched the complex, the town, the highways, and spoken to everyone I could find. Everyone is looking for him. I even drove out into the middle of the veld, hoping he might be hiding from the rain and storm. I got stuck in mud so deep we'll need to call a tow company tomorrow. I'm back at my mom's now, drinking myself into a stupor. I can't sleep thinking about my pup, lost and alone, scared. He has a birth defect that makes one paw skew, and he needs daily medication to prevent pain and further complications. It's been 29 hours since his last dose. He's the only thing that makes me want to wake up every day. Merry friggin' Christmas. Story 66. Well, my Christmas day is officially ruined. My sister decided to wake my parents and me way earlier than planned, so I ended up getting about 3 hours of sleep. After the rest of us were up, she decided she didn't want to do anything yet and stayed in her room for an hour. When she realized we were annoyed, she threw a full-on tantrum about how it wasn't fair that we were blaming her and how we all ruined Christmas. She then stayed in her room for another hour. Finally, she came down and got gifts, hot chocolate, and breakfast, but never said sorry or thank you for any of it. She only said, "That's it?" After getting nearly $1,500 in gifts. I got probably $100 in gifts between what she got me and what my parents got me. So yeah, operating on 3 hours of sleep, and I'll probably pass out after this post. She's 18, I'm 22. Story 67. My parents fight like animals constantly. Where there should be blood, there's venom. 2 days ago, they started screaming at each other first thing in the morning. I begged them to stop. Then, my dad started yelling at me, blaming me, cussing me out, the whole thing. I had to move back in with them for a while because I couldn't work. I developed gastritis when the pandemic wiped out the company that makes the probiotic I need. After my dad started yelling at me first thing in the morning, I threw food across the room and my mom exploded. I'm over everything involving them. I'm so close to being able to leave and go back to work, but their toxic insanity keeps making my stomach burn. I'm just done. I just want to get better and leave. Story 68. I'm house sitting for my parents while they visit my sister. The plan was for my husband to come out today, and then we'd go together to my in-laws tomorrow. On Monday, my mother-in-law calls to say they've been exposed, and my sister-in-law is testing positive, but everyone feels fine. All good, we reschedule, and it's just going to be me and my husband for Christmas for the first time. I had planned a cute dinner and activities at my parents' house. Then my mom calls this morning. My dad is sick, so they're on their way home. On top of that, my second job needs me to work, and our tiny kitchen isn't at all prepared for any kind of fancy cooking or eating. So I guess it's Christmas with him in his office, me watching movies by myself and hoping we all make it through the next few weeks with our parents safe and healthy. I can't really be upset. There's so much worse going on for other people, but Christmas is usually my favorite holiday, and this year just fell really flat. Story 69. My husband is in the military and needs papers from my doctor to submit for a program I'm in. I did have my doctor sign them, but they weren't accepted because she didn't sign all of them. I resubmitted the papers last week, but I haven't heard back. She might be on vacation. I'm a veteran, and she only goes to the clinic once a week. I was going to have my sister fill them out since she's an NP. Well, today my husband tried to pick up orders and couldn't because of this paper I'm waiting for. I understand being upset and frustrated, but he took it to another level. It was like the biggest toddler tantrum, ranting nonstop for hours. Yes, I get that it's frustrating, but there's no reason to act like this and ruin everyone's day over something we can't fix right now. After all the screaming, I just locked myself in the room. Story 70. My husband and I exchanged one gift first thing this morning. I picked something for him that I really thought he would enjoy and tinker with throughout the day. My gift from him, though, was a shirt in a color I hate and 2 to 3 sizes too big. It just made me feel like he doesn't know me or care at all. I had previously told him exactly what I wanted. Color, size, everything. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Christmas is such an emotional time of year, but it really soured the whole day for me. I constantly feel overlooked, like the people in my life don't listen to me. To have my husband fall into that same category just hurts. Story 71. I lost my remote job a couple of days ago. My family doesn't know. I'm in a different country and head back on the 4th. No income. Rent due on the 1st. LOL. My family is back in the States taking care of my things. Their family car got repossessed, so they're currently borrowing mine. A friend and former coworker lost his home a couple of weeks ago, so he's staying in my apartment. At least that helps with rent. His dog, a very sweet boy with anxiety, destroyed my blinds on the first day. Goodbye, security deposit. My dear friend here got COVID and is isolating alone, which just adds to the sadness. And lastly, there's been a truly destructive, honestly unbelievable dumpster fire of interpersonal cluster crap involving several people in my life. none of them connected, burning nonstop for about 48 hours now. The real kicker is that about 95% of the people who know me think I'm doing great. Haha, I'm not. But I have to keep masking because brave ol' me went to the United Kingdom to find myself. Bright side, silver lining, whatever. Before coming on this trip to work on myself, try to find my self-worth, and figure out how to combat my depression, I probably would have seriously contemplated or attempted ending it all if this whole cocktail of situations had hit me back then. Story 72. I spent the entire month fighting with my abusive, now ex. My bank account is overdrawn. I'll be okay, but I have no gifts for anyone. I'm too upset to really talk with my family. I'm embarrassed and I just want to be alone and process everything, but they won't understand and will be offended. I just can't do it right now. At some point next month, I'll go visit them. It will help. But this feels too early. He broke up with me 4 days ago and of course is now trying to see me again. I'm trying to let it go and stay no contact. Part of me thinks I should do what he always did when he wanted to bother me. Go out to a party by myself, for myself, and actually enjoy it. Or maybe I'll just take care of myself at home, clean a bit, watch a movie. I did at least catch up on sleep and I'm eating donuts. Could be worse. It's much better than most of the days this month. Merry Christmas, everyone. Story 73. I've actually had a decent Christmas Eve, but the week before was a complete shit show. Literally. A week ago Friday, I woke up feeling funky, hot, off, just off. I worked my last day and we were supposed to make an 8-hour journey, but by the time I got home, my head was pounding. We decided to leave in the morning. We woke up at 4 a.m. for an early start and I was drained, headachy, and really bloated. I was absolutely no help packing the car, but we managed to head out around 6. Since we have a 3-year-old, stops are frequent, which is usually fine, except that on our first stop, I suddenly needed the toilet. I ended up half jogging just to make it in time. I thought that would be the end of it, but by the next stop, I was doubled over in pain, and the next stop, and the next. The rest of the journey was not fun, but we made it. I've seen my family 3 times this year, and before that, it had been 18 months due to the pandemic. I really wanted to enjoy this Christmas. Instead, I spent most of it either on the toilet or passed out in bed. I even gave a sample to the doctor 2 days ago because I was starting to think I might turn inside out. Then, halfway through yesterday, I finally sat up and felt all right after 6 days. I even ate a full bowl of soup. Food poisoning is no joke, but at least I'm not going to miss my Christmas dinner. Story 74. Today was quickly ruined as soon as I got to work. I work at a dispensary, and in the morning I have 30 minutes to put out all the product, which isn't a problem if I have help. Well, my boss didn't tell me that my assistant manager got sick and wouldn't be coming in, so I was stuck alone, rushing. Around noon, my boss finally messaged me to ask if the cover had shown up, which he hadn't, and then ignored me the rest of the day while I was asking for help. This is a store where, on a good day from 9:30 to 6, I make about $2,000. Today, I made $5,000 because we closed at 4. I was swamped the entire day. And both my boss and the assistant manager, who had even said she'd come in to help me close, ghosted me and still haven't responded. The biggest issue wasn't just being swamped with too many customers who wouldn't listen when the store was over capacity. It was that I had told both of them 100 times that I didn't know how to close. I haven't been trained on it. I live across the city and we're open until 2 a.m., which isn't in my availability. So I was left confused, angry, overwhelmed, and so hungry I was shaking. All I got to eat was a single croissant I bought for breakfast. Overall, today was a diss story. 75. My oldest came home from his biological dad's. He sees him once or twice a month, max. And as usual, his dad showered him with gifts. So my kid came home with a really shitty attitude. We ordered in, which we normally can't afford, but used a gift card. Planned a family movie and game night, made brownies, and offered him a Christmas Eve gift. We really tried to make it special, and he's been awful to us since he got home. This is exactly what his dad does. He doesn't come around or help with any actual parenting, just buys him stuff, often things he isn't allowed to have at his age. And now my son acts like he deserves more expensive things and treats us like the worst people if we ask him to, say, pick up his mess. I know there are deeper emotional issues at play, but Jesus, he's already made his mom cry. I'm trying to keep things silly and light to help, but I kind of want to put him on big kid time out because he seems to relish hurting my wife right now. We just wanted it to be fun and nice, and he isn't having it. He won't be happy unless everyone else is miserable. If it were up to me, he wouldn't go over there at all. It causes more harm than good. But he wants to go so badly that it's hard to deny him that little bit of time. I don't know what to do. Story 76. I lost two of the greatest men I've ever known very recently, 1 month apart. My grandfather and my father-in-law. Both were more like fathers to me, and we were very close. My granddad passed due to COVID, and my bonus dad from a terrible freak ATV accident. Nothing has felt okay since. I am grateful that I got to hold them both and be with them in their final moments. But wounds this deep and this fresh are the most painful thing my wife and I have ever experienced. I was given 28 years with my granddad and 10 with my father-in-law. It could never be enough. I know we cannot change the past and that dwelling makes things worse, but we are still in the this can't be happening phase. They were 73 and 49, respectively. Both passed peacefully, sedated, and my granddad was intubated. When the doctors asked about life-saving measures, we discussed how their quality of life would have been negligible at best. It would have been selfish and wrong to keep them going simply because we could not accept that it was their time. That is something my wife, a downright brilliant ICU nurse, taught me over the last several years. I never would have imagined that those conversations would become our reality, let alone back to back. Take the time to have those talks. Explain your final wishes clearly and write them down. Make a will, store it in a safe, known location, and let your family or lawyer know. Not later, now. We are not guaranteed 1 more second. Story 77. I've spent most of the night sitting on a sofa out of my comfort zone at my in-laws' house after a long day at work. I didn't have dinner until about 10 p.m., so I was properly hangry. Now I'm in a room with my 2-year-old daughter at 1:41 a.m., while she decides not to sleep, makes every animal sound she knows, and repeats the first 5 letters of the alphabet. It wouldn't be so bad, but I can't just get up with her because it's not my house, and they've set all the presents up downstairs. Can't wait to not have anything to eat tomorrow until about 4, be tired, and get chewed out by my lass for being miserable on Christmas Day. That said, I'm blessed to have an awesome family on my side and hers. I'm sure there are people out there who would rather be in my situation than theirs. Stay safe, cherish what you've got, and keep your chin up. I'll be trying to stay positive, haha. Good night and Merry Christmas. Story 78. It's the 3rd day in a row of a series of unfortunate events, but today takes the cake for me. My Christmas dinner got canceled because someone had to self-isolate after being in contact with someone who tested positive. On the way to help my best friend pick up some last-minute gifts, I bought a smoothie, which turned out to be expired and moldy. I had a panic attack on the way, anxious and depressed about spending Christmas alone. Shopping went fine until I got back and realized I had bled through my pants. So there I was, showered, wrapped in a towel, crying on my friend's couch while my clothes were in the wash. To everyone reading this who's having a hard time right now, happy holidays. I know it's tough. Let's give each other some internet hugs and be kind to one another. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.